What a trade deadline we had this year. I remember back in the past, in ye olden days of the NBA, they would give you like some guy who played 2 minutes for the entire season and they trade away half of a second round pick. And we'd be like, oh my God, this trade completely shakes up the NBA. Now, literally, Kevin Durant, arguably the best player in the NBA, if not one of the most important players in the NBA, is officially going to the Phoenix Suns. So by grading every single trade, we're going to start with this one and then work our way back. Kevin Durant for Mikal Bridges. Can I get this ad off my screen? You're annoying me. Can you go? Kevin Durant straight up for Mikal Bridges, Jae Crowder, Cam Johnson, 4 first-round picks, 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029, and 1 pick swap in 2028. And I just got to say, holy crap. Starting with the Nets, wow. The Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant experiment completely failed. And if I read their pick situation right, so in 2023, they have their first round pick and a swap with the Houston Rockets, which isn't going to happen. So they're going to have their crappy first round pick and then the crappier first round pick from the Rockets or 76ers. So theoretically, they have what, 1, 2, 3 first round picks this year, but 2 of them are going to be in the mid 20s and however bad their pick is going to be. Then they have 0 picks for 2024. And then in 2025, they're going to have their picks swapped with the Rockets, so they'll have theirs, which is no good, and then the first round pick from the Suns, which who knows how good they're going to be in a second. 2026, nothing. 2027, they'll have the 76ers 2027 first round pick, which is top 8 protected, so probably going to be in the mid 20s. They got a first from the Suns. They got a first of their own, which the Rockets have the rights to take, which by this time the Rockets probably should be a good basketball team. They should probably suck, so they're not going to have their own draft rights. And then 2028 is the first year that they will have their own first round pick. So let's say the Nets decided to tank. They couldn't get their pick until 5 years from now. Then 2029, they have their own. And then 2030, I don't even know what's going on. So this is a weird situation for the Nets because they gave up basically everything for fat James Harden. If you remember, in the way back machine, it all started with D'Angelo Russell and these fun young Nets playing really good basketball under Kenny Atkinson. And then they said, oh, do I want D'Angelo Russell or Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant? And they go, well, obviously, D'Angelo Russell, gone. Went to the Golden State Warriors, I think. And then they go, all right, well, this team is good, but James Harden said he wants to be a Brooklyn Nets, so let's make that happen. So they traded every single first-round pick they had ever for fat James Harden, who eventually turned himself into Ben Simmons and I think like 2 first-round picks, which aren't going to be very good. And let me just say, big L hindsight 2020 because Ben Simmons looks like a shattered remnant of a human being. Now Kyrie Irving is gone for 1 first-round pick and Spencer Dinwiddie. And lastly, now Kevin Durant is gone. And they got a good haul for Kevin Durant. I got to be respectful for this trade. If I'm giving grades, obviously the Suns get an A+. They get Kevin Durant and TJ Warren. But the Nets get Mikal Bridges, who's just continuing to grow, blossom, lockdown defender. His offense is improving. They got Jae Crowder, who I don't even know what's going to happen with him. Cam Johnson, you saw how impactful he is in the Suns. As soon as he came back, they started to win games, and they got a whole bunch of first-round picks and a pick swap. So good haul overall for the Nets, but you look at their entire history since they got KD and Kyrie, it's just been an F. So somewhere in the middle, I guess you give the Nets a C grade overall. Bam, put it up on the screen. C, meh, mediocre. But the Suns, whew, they are now the new superpower in the Western Conference once everybody's healthy. We'll go all the way back to February 5th. I think that's what, 4 days ago when these trades first started happening. Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris for Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, and 1 first-round pick. Again, not a great haul overall, but Kyrie Irving on an expiring contract, wanted out, hates Jews. You just got to get what you can for Kyrie at this point. So interesting move for the Mavericks. I think I said it at the time. It's an all-in trade for the Mavs. They're either going all in and going to win a championship, or they have sped up the process to get Luka Doncic angry and traded out of Dallas. So interesting move for both teams. And just want to gloss over this. The next day, Furkan Korkmaz requested a trade. Dude, good luck. You're barely in the NBA. You average 3.8 points per game. I can't believe these no-name guys are asking for trades. So the next trade is this Dewayne Dedmon and Heat second-round pick for cash trade, which is essentially saying, Dewayne Dedmon, you've been so bad this year. Get off this team. And you can ask any Heat fan, Dewayne Dedmon has been far from exceptional. He came over, I think, 2 years ago, just to coming off of his couch, played hard. He was great for them. He played really well, turned that into a small contract, and he just was horrible this year. There's no other way around it. And the fact that the Heat went out and excessively re-signed him instead of like a PJ Tucker is a testament to more bad front office management. So when you look at this and you're giving it a grade, the Heat literally had to give up a second round pick to get out from under Dewayne Dedmon. So overall, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but at the end of the day, it's poor asset management for the Heat. So an F for them. San Antonio picks up a free second-round pick. Next up is this Kessler Edwards pick. Of course, the Nets were just trading everything. So they basically did Kessler Edwards for David Mission, who I don't even know. I didn't grade any of his tape. I don't know if he's any good. If y'all remember, Kessler Edwards last season was their second-round pick, and he was honestly playing pretty good basketball. Just couldn't break the rotation. They had a whole bunch of players on their team like a TJ Warren and Cam Thomas and David Duke who were just able to beat him out. So Kessler Edwards, is he going to see minutes? Probably not, but a good depth piece. Nice to trade somebody who you're not playing for somebody who has the possibility to play, I guess. You look at last season, he was pretty good. 4.8 points, 3 rebounds, 33 from the three-point line, 40% from the field. And then this year he's getting you, 14 games, 1 point. I can't take these splits serious at all because you look at their volume, it's like 2 shots. Yeah, he's 2 of 12 from the three-point line. Okay, what am I supposed to do with that? So is this going to be anything? Probably not, but just had to mention it. And next up is this 3-team Lakers trade. And this one left me completely scratching my head. I thought this was going to be the big move of the trade deadline because holy crap, did Rob Pelinka turn into Trader Danny at this point? And Trader Danny turned into Rob Pelinka. They completely switched sides. I was so confused. So the breakdown is this. The Lakers are getting D'Lo, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt. Jazz get Russ, JTA, Damian Jones, a 2027 protected first-round pick, and the Wolves get Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and a bunch of second-round picks. So you have to look at the actual assets that were traded team to team to team. It's going to be a little hard to explain. I'll do my best. The Lakers got rid of Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano-Anderson, who, let's face it, didn't play a lot, Damian Jones, who, let's face it, played even less, and they gave up their 2027 first-round pick, that one of the 2 remaining picks that they have ownership over, except they got rid of it protected as well, and they only got rid of one. They still had that 2029 pick. I would have expected, you want to get a whole bunch of good players, you got to give up both. And somehow the Lakers did all this with 1 first-round pick. So you got to say, holy crap, Lakers, you're getting rid of Russ, JTA, Damian Jones, your first, and you get back D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, who's been knocked down sharpshooter this season, and Jared Vanderbilt, who everybody has been wanting to get on their team. You go through every single team's form, they go, man, if we can trade for Jared Vanderbilt, he's the energy bunny that we need. So A+ grade for the Lakers. Going over to the Timberwolves, you're essentially shipping out D'Angelo Russell, and you're getting back Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And I know D'Angelo Russell is the least consistent player in the history of basketball. This is going to be a wait and see kind of grade, so you got to give him a C because D'Lo, while he is horribly inconsistent, while he is completely disconnected on the defensive end, he was clutch for them, man. Just every single game you watch with the Minnesota Timberwolves down to clutch minutes, D'Lo would hit a clutch 3, hit a clutch mid-range bucket. D'Lo was that dude. Now, of course, like I'm saying, hindsight 2020, if Mike Conley remains infamously healthy for this entire season, or if Anthony Edwards turns into the closer, or Karl Towns or Rudy Gobert magically figure it out, this trade is going to be just fine for them. Mike Conley for D'Lo isn't a horrible flip. But Mike Conley, ever since he came over from Memphis to the Jazz and now to the Timberwolves, he's been consistently hurt. And it's been miraculous that this season he was only hurt a little bit. I think he only sat out like 5 or 10 games at this point. Mike Conley, his durability, huge question mark. His consistency, huge question mark. And his age, he's like 35, 36 years old, undersized point guard. He's not going to offer you much defensively. He'll try, unlike D'Angelo Russell. But I think in overall position, it is a bit of a downgrade. Now, everybody's going to say, oh, he quote unquote unlocked Rudy Gobert. Good luck with that, Timberwolves. But again, wait and see. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I mean, this dude's just playing on every single team ever. Has the capacity to be a very good player. Is he going to be? I don't really know. He has a lot of dumb plays that he just has not cleaned up consistently, and then to get a bunch of second-round picks. Unfortunately, I can't grade second-round picks because you can literally buy them for cash. You can flip them with an asset that you don't want. So second-round picks, whatever, they got 24, 25, 26. As for the Jazz, I got to say the Jazz got swindled here. So let's start with Russell Westbrook, the guy nobody wants in the NBA. He's going to get bought out for like $47 million this year. Going to be a whole lot of money, but the Jazz got their first-round pick. Get Juan Toscano-Anderson. Is he going to stay? Is he not? It doesn't matter. He's not a big deal. Neither is Damian Jones. So really, the Jazz picked up Russell Westbrook, got rid of Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Mike Conley, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker for a protected 2027 first-round pick. And I got to say, Trader Danny, that is a big swindle because later on you'll see Jakob got you a first-round and a couple second-round picks. You should have gotten at least 3 first-round picks out of all these guys. Mike Conley could conceivably get you maybe 2 first-round picks. Malik Beasley, easy first-round pick. Jared Vanderbilt, easy first-round pick. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, probably not a first. I could see 2 seconds maybe, depending on where you send him to. But overall, you got swindled, man. And I got to give you nothing more than an F. And it's remarkable because they got like 8 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. And now for role players, they got 1 for 3.5 good players here. I don't know what happened in this trade. I don't know if the NBA is rigged and they forced this to go through. But for whatever happened, the Jazz get a complete failure on their part of picking up players, because in reality, they traded away 3/4 starter players for 1 first-round pick. I don't care how valuable it is, especially when it's 1 to 4 protected. Upsetting trade for the Utah Jazz. And right after this was more of an interesting trade than anything else. The Knicks picked up Josh Hart. Going to be a nice pickup for them. They're giving up Cam Reddish, Svi Mykhailiuk, who didn't really play, and a protected first-round pick. I don't really know much about the protections on this pick. It is Knicks lottery protected 2023 that turns into 4 future seconds if not conveyed this year. Likely going to turn into a mid to late first-round pick because the Knicks are at least competitive at this point. So no worries on that pick for the Trailblazer fans. But basically, Josh Hart for Cam Reddish in a first. The Blazers going to make a later trade as well. I got to give a B to the Knicks and maybe a B to the Trailblazers, depending on what direction they're trying to go. We're still, as an entire community in the NBA, confused on what direction the Trailblazers are trying to go. Are they trying to rebuild? Are they trying to get first-round picks? Or are they trying to build and win now around Damian Lillard? I don't think they know. I don't think we know. So they get a first-round pick out of it. A young guy in Cam Reddish who nobody seems to want to play, has all the talent in the world, but just cannot break the rotation no matter where he goes. Maybe he'll finally get a fresh start with the Portland Trailblazers. And the Knicks pick up Josh Hart. Jalen Brunson, ecstatic. You do everything you can to keep your superstars happy, so good for that. He's a great rebounder, and his three-point shooting has completely fallen off. I don't know what has happened this year, but he's been traditionally passing up wide open threes. And overall, he's a pretty good knockdown, league average three-point shooter, and he just hasn't been hitting them this season. So it's not a great pickup for the Knicks. It's not a great loss for the Trailblazers. So I'm going to go B and B respectively for these teams. Moving on to the next trade. And the Raptors, kind of ironically getting back, is that they're getting Jakob Poeltl from that Kawhi Leonard trade from the Spurs. The Spurs are going to get Kem Birch, a 2024 first-round pick, 2 second-round picks. So I got to say, the Spurs, this is the kind of haul that you're expecting for a Jakob Poeltl. He's on an expiring contract. He's a good starting center, not a great one, but in that Ivica Zubac, kind of Kevon Looney, he could start. You could bench him when you need to in clutch moments. It doesn't really matter. He plays his role very well, does his best. He's a big body, and that's about it. As for the Raptors, I guess they're not sellers this trade deadline. They're going in and trying to win now. Jakob Poeltl going to be the center. Pascal Siakam going to be the power forward. Scotty Barnes going to be the small forward. OG Anunoby going to be the shooting guard. And then Fred VanVleet going to be the point guard. I don't know where that puts Gary Trent Jr. I have no idea what Toronto is about to do. But this was their trade. They didn't give up too much. Kem Birch, 2 second-round picks. Now looking at this website here, SportsIllustrated.com, they're saying it's top 6 protected through 2026, then probably turns into a bunch of seconds. Don't know. Don't quote me on that. But for a team that's questionably on the way for a rebuild, to give up a pretty valuable first-round pick for Jakob Poeltl doesn't make a lot of sense. You want a guy who's going to come in, contribute immediately, move the needle. And I know this team needs a center. I get that. They're officially giving up on the 6'5" to 6'9" players only on their team, which I'm fine with, but they shouldn't really be trying to win now at the same time. They could be conceivably a playoff team, maybe down the road. But what happens if this pick turns into the 7th overall pick? Bam, you just gave up a top 10 pick for Jakob Poeltl. So I got to say, not a great move for the Raptors. Good move for the Spurs. So I'm going to give the Spurs another A, picking up a lot of assets for a mediocre player in Jakob Poeltl, and got to give a D for the Raptors. Not a complete fail, because maybe Jakob Poeltl is the one that turns their season around. Kevin Durant trade we already talked about, which means the next one is going to be Mike Muscala to the Celtics. So Mike Muscala went for, I think, 2 seconds to the Celtics. Good-ish for the Celtics. Mike Muscala has been playing pretty well, honestly, for the Thunder. I basically counted him out after seeing how embarrassingly bad he was for the Lakers before they traded him away. Remember, they traded away Ivica Zubac for Mike Muscala, and then yikes, But Mike's been okay. He's been a good veteran leader for the Thunder. He's just kind of been steady over there, kind of space the floor, stretch 5. Going over to the Celtics, I guess that's fine. He's a little undersized, 6'8", 6'9"-ish, but just a little more depth now that the Celtics decided not to bring back Daniel Tice for the 17th time. So he'll be playing behind Big Al, behind Robert Williams, and they give him just a little bit more size. Future airball here. The Celtics also gave up Justin Jackson along with those 2 second-round picks for the Mike Muscala trade. Absolutely no changes whatsoever. I don't think Justin Jackson has played a single minute this year, and if he has, it wasn't that memorable. Next up is the Lakers trading Thomas Bryant for Davon Reed, and this was one of the trades where I got to say, absolutely yikes. Thomas Bryant, I know he's a horrible defender. I completely understand that, but he was honestly their 3rd best player for long stretches, especially with, I think Anthony Davis was out. LeBron was playing, but not very good. Thomas Bryant won them a couple games, was a monster. Now, I get that they would lose him in the offseason. He's on an expiring contract, but you're making all these moves to win now. And then you say, oh, let's go get Davon Reed, who's been horrible this season, for Thomas Bryant and pick up some second-round picks in the future, like 2025, 2026, and 2029. A little bit mixed messaging for a team that's trying to win now. I got to say, not a great trade for the Lakers. Good on the Nuggets to get their backup center. Defense for the center has never been important for the Nuggets, so it's just continuing more of the same. Remember, they had Boogie Cousins before. Now they got Thomas Bryant. Like I said, Thomas Bryant, more than capable of taking over a game on the offensive end. So basically going to be a B for the Nuggets, picking up the best player in this trade, and a D for the Lakers, which is probably one of their only failing trades that they made, especially looking back at how Rui Hachimura they effectively stole. Next up, Jae Crowder goes to the Milwaukee Bucks, and this is a weird trade. I'm not really sure whose second-round picks are gone, but the Bucks get Jae Crowder. They give up George Hill to the Pacers, who seems to always end up on either the Pacers or the Bucks or whatever team LeBron James is on. They gave up Jordan Nwora, who's actually a pretty good piece. I'm not sure if I would have done that deal. He's kind of starting to come into his own as a 3-no-D guy for the Bucks. Give up Serge Ibaka, no big deal, and a couple second-round picks, no idea how many. And then the Nets just get a whole bunch of second-round picks. I guess good for you. Get as much draft capital as you can for Jae Crowder. Effectively flipping Jae Crowder into 5 seconds. I'm fine with that. That's a good trade for you. A-, you would have liked to see them get a first, but there's not a lot of firsts going around these days, especially when Kevin Durant is getting traded. The Bucks pick up Jae Crowder for Jordan Nwora pretty much. So, I don't know, man. He hasn't played a minute of basketball. I understand he brings a little bit of size and toughness to your team. He's a occasional 3-point shooter. I feel like Jordan Nwora is a piece that I would have liked to hang on to. Jae Crowder is a guy who's on an expiring contract. He does fill a need that they have because they do have Grayson Allen. They do have a Pat Connaughton. They don't need another shooter in Jordan Nwora, but not a huge fan of this trade. So I'm going to give the Bucks a C. Going to give the Nets a B+, and going to give the Pacers, I mean, honestly don't even know why they're in this trade, but they get a solid B as well for picking up a second Jordan Nwora. Maybe George Hill plays a little good basketball for them before he retires. Serge Ibaka is in the trade. I don't even know if he's going to play. Next up is another 3-team trade, and I got to say the Hornets are making a lot of head-scratching decisions here. So Jalen McDaniels is gone for 2 second-round picks, and Jalen McDaniels is a pretty good player in his own right. I know they clear up the power forward spot because it was Jalen McDaniels, PJ Washington, JT Thor, Kai Jones, whatever he turns into. So on one hand, I get it. Gave you 10 points a game, 4.8 rebounds, 2 assists, 44 from the field, 32%, but a traditionally 34% 3-point shooter, 84 from the free throw line. Jalen McDaniels is a pretty good player. I feel like you could get a late first-round pick for him. Getting 2 picks in 2024 and 2029 doesn't feel like a great haul. Also, getting Svi Mikhailuk out of it is absolutely nothing. Blazers pick up Matisse Thybulle out of this, which is a great pickup for them because they didn't give up all that much. So I'm going to give probably an A- to the Blazers. Just going to get a specialist. Matisse Thybulle isn't going to replace Josh Hart in so much that he's going to be a specialist for them. When they need someone to be a defensive lockdown player, Matisse Thybulle is going to come in, play 15 minutes a night. 76ers pick up Jalen McDaniels. Great for them. They didn't have to give up any first-round picks, especially because they don't have too many since they got James Harden in that robbery with Ben Simmons. Hornets, you just get a D-. Svi Mikhailuk, 2 seconds isn't really the haul I'm looking for when you give up Jalen McDaniels. And this one was pretty wild. I know that Bones Hyland was disgruntled, angry at the way he's been managed in Denver despite having a great rookie season. Struggled a little bit just with shot selection. The Nuggets are more of a win-now team, so Bones Hyland making these boneheaded decisions. See what I did there? Is a little more frustrating to deal with when you're trying to actually win basketball games. But they have 0 replacement now for Bones Hyland, who is effectively their entire second unit the only person who was running that unit, because who's their other guy that they, I mean, who is on the Nuggets depth chart, really? Behind him, you have Ish Smith, who you don't play. You got Bruce Brown, who's kind of a starter. You got Christian Brown, who's kind of a starter, but you don't have, a point guard, somebody who's going to actually take over the game for a little bit, get you some buckets. So I know Bones Hyland has his defensive issues. I know he had his playmaking issues. I know he had his decision-making issues. But Bones Hyland, kind of like the Nets, one of those guys that you probably should have just kept on the team, figured it out, worked it out. But Michael, don't call me Mike Malone, is a stubborn ass. Hopefully Ish Smith fills those minutes valiantly and the team doesn't really struggle. This is going to be one of those hindsight picks because he's going to be great for the Clippers. I got to be honest. So for the Nuggets, man, I got to give you a D for the fact that you didn't replace the hole that is now needing to be filled at backup point guard with Bones Hyland. You didn't get a first round pick out of it because Bones Hyland, late first round pick, but he's played pretty damn good basketball, better than some lottery picks. And you get 2 seconds in 2024 and 2025. So D for the Nuggets. Gotta be an A- for Bones and the Clippers. I feel like he's just gonna have so much fun. If there's anybody that can foster and handle and maintain egos, it is head coach Ty Lue of the LA Clippers. He's gonna be a fun upgrade for them. Now he's gonna be a defensive liability. We all understand that. Hopefully he'll get coached up well and just continue to grow because Bones Hyland is he's a good player, man. He's a good player overall. You shouldn't just give him away for nothing. All right, and now is the James Wiseman trade. So first off, it started out, I was watching this minute by minute as it was happening. So you go James Wiseman to the Pistons and Saddiq Bey to the Warriors. And I go, that's an interesting flip. I don't love it because I've been a big believer on James Wiseman and I've been hugely disappointed in the overall draft and development guide of the Golden State Warriors. They picked guys, there's legitimate talent for their younger players, and they just don't play them because they're in win now mode and they don't want to sacrifice games. So they're playing Anthony freaking Lamb and Otto Porter Jr. and Ty Jerome over the young players. And it's just been infuriating. Jonathan Kuminga is a bucket. James Wiseman was drafted number 2 overall for a reason. He's got talent. He's super raw still. You just got to give him time. You got to give him coaching and you got to hope that he stays a little bit healthy. And at this point they go, all right, complete bust. We're out on James Wiseman. So you go, okay, you get Saddiq Bey. And then they go, actually, we don't want Saddiq Bey, who's going to be a bucket for us. We're going to get 5 second-round picks. And you go, wait, what? You're giving up Saddiq Bey and you're not even getting a first-round pick out of this? What? And then in the future, they trade for Gary Payton II, who they let walk in free agency for 5 second-round picks. So they basically gave up James Wiseman for their mistake of not re-signing Gary Payton II in this offseason, 5 second-round picks. What the actual hell is wrong with the Warriors? I hate offseason mistakes. I hate GMs trying to recoup talent that they should have had in the offseason. They should have re-signed players instead of letting them walk. And now you give up the former number 2 overall pick for Gary Payton II. And I grant you right now that Gary Payton II is more valuable than James Wiseman. But James, seen some highlights, man. He has talent. And the fact that you couldn't develop him, the fact that you're still not developing your other young guys, and now you gave up effectively everything to get your old roster back from last year, which is Gary Payton II, is a huge disappointment for me. So I got to say, poor asset management from the Warriors across the board, poor development, F grade for the Warriors. And I don't love giving out F grades. Don't give them out too often unless you're the Minnesota Timberwolves trading for Rudy Gobert. But man, what a sad career James Wiseman has had with the Golden State Warriors. Next up, the Hawks picking up Saddiq Bey for a bunch of second-round picks. Good for you. You're going to get a solid B here. More depth at the wing position. Solid shooter. Saddiq Bey, super inconsistent, but he's still young. Still has time to develop. Maybe he can learn from, Bogdanovich. And he just didn't really seem to fit too well on the Pistons squad. He had that 50-point game last season, but it was just a bit of a struggle to get him consistently rolling on the offensive end. And the Pistons pick up James Wiseman for Saddiq Bey. I don't love the trade because at this point, James Wiseman has been a bust. But like I said, there's a lot of raw talent there. The Pistons aren't in position to win games now. So I'm fine. Pick up the former number 2 overall pick. See if there's anything there. You give up Saddiq Bey. Not great. So I'm going to give you a C overall. But I'm just saying, go look at some James Wiseman defensive highlights. Go look at games where he actually had more than 2.5 minutes to play in garbage time. James has legit talent, man. If anybody on the Pistons team can get him right emotionally, physically, you got a good player on your hands. And I was scrolling through some forums for Pistons fans. They're like, oh my God, he's going to limit what Jalen Duran does offensively. He's going to stop his growth. I'm sorry, but if you don't understand now that Jalen Duren is simply a rim runner and that's as good as he's ever going to get, James Wiseman has the potential to be Joel Embiid, to be the best player in the NBA. Jalen Duren has the potential to be Clint Capella. So next up is a kind of under the radar Hawks trade. Justin Holiday and Frank the Tank for Garrison Matthews and Bruno Fernando. Bruno, unfortunately, was their starting center, which means Frank Kaminsky might be their starting center for the Rockets. So yikes, giving up Garrison Matthews. I'm fine with that. I would have liked to pick up a little more than some second round picks, but not bad. The Hawks will send the Rockets 2 second round picks as part of the deal. That's fine. Garrison Matthews for 2 seconds. He's a fun, feisty 3-point shooter for them. Maybe he'll bring some more shooting to the Hawks alongside Saddiq Bey. I don't think shooting was really what the Hawks needed. I think they should figure out what they're doing with DeAndre Hunter and John Collins. And if Trae Young and then DeJounte Murray can figure out how to play offensively together. But overall, just a mediocre trade, C's across the board. Not much to report here. And so this one, I'm still struggling to understand. So the Clippers gave up Luke Kennard, and I believe their first round pick swap rights, 2023 first round pick swap rights, better of Clipper or Bucks picks. Houston also controls Milwaukee's first this draft. So effectively, the Rockets are getting the Clippers first round pick out of here, which unless the world ends and Kawhi Leonard gets hurt again, I think is going to be mid to late teens, if not in the 20s. So not a big deal, but it is going to be a decent pick. The Clippers are going to pick up Eric Gordon, who's finally getting out from Houston. I'm sure he's just been praying. He's going to team up with some of his old former teammates like Robert Covington, and he's going to give him some much needed shooting. Just be another old veteran leader on the team, which they're literally all old veteran leaders outside of who's the guy from Kentucky, the second round pick? I can't even remember. They don't have any young players. It's hilarious how old the Clippers are. But they are giving up Luke Kennard, who has been a knockdown shooter for them. I know he's a defensive liability. I don't feel like the upgrade from Luke Kennard to Eric Gordon is that much. And you're giving up a first round pick. Not a huge fan of the deal, so I'm going to give it a C-. Eric Gordon, damn good player. Old as dirt. Occasional durability questions, but maybe a little bit of an upgrade from Luke Kennard. You're getting John Wall off the books after the beginning of the season where everybody's like, oh my God, John Wall is so much better than Russell Westbrook. He has been horrible for the Clippers, so nothing to report on there. Grizzlies picking up Luke Kennard is great. He's going to be a bucket for them. They're just giving up Danny Green in this, so A for the Grizzlies. What was it? C- for the Clippers. There's only 1 P in this Clippers here. Come on, NBCSports.com. What are you doing? And then the Rockets get basically a first round pick, which is pretty good for them as well. John Wall likely going to get bought out again. Danny Green probably would get bought out as well. I wouldn't mind having some more veteran leadership on this team that desperately needs it. But the Rockets, I don't even know what the Rockets are going to do at this point, but they do get a first round pick out of it for Eric Gordon. Don't hate it. Don't love it. Give it a B+. And then this one, another one of those small trades that you're looking at. The Lakers got Mo Bamba for Patrick Beverley in a second. I don't know what Rob Pelinka did. I don't know what Jeannie Buss said to Adam Silver to make sure that the Lakers win every single trade. But Pat Bev has been absolutely horrible this year. The only thing he could possibly offer to this Orlando Magic squad is point guard depth, which they do desperately need. I'll give you that. But Patrick Beverley, not a real point guard. And then, I don't know, fiery intangibles, make them want to play hard. Does he get bought out? I don't really know. And so effectively, you're looking at this and you go, he's on a 1-year, $13 million deal, 34 years old. So they're basically giving up Mo Bamba, who they just signed in the offseason, for a second round pick. I just don't understand, because this Magic team isn't ready to win now. Not even remotely. They're like the 5th worst team in the NBA. Sure, they're close in some games and they had a pretty good record compared to the Rockets, but come on. You're getting a D- because you just signed Mo Bamba and you couldn't even get a first round pick out of it. Let's say the Magic got that unprotected 2029 Laker first round pick. That's a great pickup for them. But a second for Mo Bamba, I know he's not a great player. I know he doesn't fill all the holes for any team, but he's still Mo Bamba. He's still worth something. I always got to harp back to how much the Spurs got for Jakob Poeltl. And you go, really? You can only get 1 second round pick and a Patrick Beverley who's probably going to get bought out from Obama. Not a great deal. So an A for the Lakers. Get a center to effectively replace what Thomas Bryant did. And now you get a younger player, a younger version of Thomas Bryant in Mo Bamba. Is he going to fit? Don't know. How's the consistency with Mo Bamba? Always been a question mark, but overall, good trade for Lakers, and we'll give a C- to the Magic. And just rearing out the end of these weird trades, Kevin Knox from the Pistons is going to the Warriors. I guess this wasn't part of the descriptions, so I mean, is that really going to amend anything? Not really. Kevin Knox been a complete bust. He was a G League legend and then just failed in New York. And he pretty much failed in Detroit as well. Pelicans sending Devontae Graham and 4 second-round picks for Josh Richardson. Just another great move from the Spurs. I would have liked to see them get a first for Josh. He's been playing okay for the Spurs overall. He's in the peak of his game. He's in his prime, like 28 years old right now. Had a career year last season. Wasn't as great this year, but he can definitely offer something to a playoff caliber team. So the Pelicans are getting rid of dead weight in Devontae Graham, especially now that Kyrie Lewis Jr. is back. Devontae's been awful. 4 second-round picks, not the end of the world. I think this is a B across the board for both teams. And then this one hurt me the most because I'm the biggest fan of Reggie Jackson. I know he's a liability on the defensive end. I know that he's not the best player. I know, but I think Reggie Jackson is good people, man. And they traded away Reggie Jackson, now that they have Eric Gordon and Bones Hyland, for Mason Plumlee. For the Clippers, it's a smart move, man. I get it. You got Bones. You got EG. Reggie wasn't fitting. He was kind of running the backup units. Maybe they'll go out and sign Russell Westbrook if he gets bought out. And they needed a backup center. Mason Plumlee is exactly that guy. But man, does it hurt being a big fan of Reggie Jackson on the Clippers. Y'all remember when Paul George recruited Reggie to come back. Reggie was about to go out of the league. He said, damn, I don't want to play basketball anymore. And he came to the Clippers and just had the time of his life. Cried when the team got eliminated from the playoffs. He was just so happy and grateful and thankful to be here. I love Reggie. I got a picture of him on my wall. Reggie's just one of my favorite players. To see him go to the Hornets hurts. As for the actual trade, Hornets, they're getting rid of Mason Plumlee. Finally, everybody has been calling for it because Mark Williams is a good center, man. He's that dude. Nick Richards played really good basketball for them. They're a young team looking to rebuild. Mason Plumlee is just, can you just not be on the team? I understand he played pretty good basketball for them, but can you just not? And we developed some of these young guys that they've been drafting and not playing. So for the Hornets, you get rid of Mason Plumlee, and what's more, addition by subtraction there. And then you pick up Reggie Jackson. You don't even get any draft capital out of this. That's the big problem. So I just got to give you an F again because you're not going to play Reggie Jackson. You already got an undersized scorer in Terry Rozier. What do you want? 2, 3, 4 undersized scorers on your team? Reggie doesn't fit your timeline whatsoever. And I'm reiterating, you got no draft capital out of this. It just pains me to see the Hornets fail every single time they make any decision ever, James Bouknight. Clippers, solid trade for them. B+, A-, don't really know. Not a big deal. Reggie Jackson gone, got your backup center. Now that when Ivica Zubac goes out for injuries or for foul issues or whatever, you're going to be set there. So overall, good trade for the Clippers. Good offseason. Wild trade deadline, especially at the end. They were just making a whole bunch of trades, hammering it in. 251, the Warriors make a trade. 252, the Blazers make a trade. All in all, I got to say this has been one of the most fun and interesting trade deadlines I've seen in recent memory. Let me know what your thoughts are on some of these trades. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I'll catch you in the next one.